we've released the door from the machine. So now the door is free. First thing we do is we're going to lift the door to see the weight of the door. If the door stops where you leave it, the door is balanced. If the door drops again, it's what's called a heavy door, and we need to adjust the springs. If the door flies up on its own, it's a hot door, which means it's overwound and we need to adjust that. So basically when we're servicing a door, that's our first port of call. And then at the end of each side, you've got the cables here. Now these cables should be taut and under tension. You're looking at the cable and you're checking for any frays on the cable. Now, if you run your fingers down the cable very, very gently, you'll be able to feel if it's frayed, but do it gently because it will stab you. That one's good, and obviously there's two cables. These cables should feel roughly the same sort of tension, which these are. And again, we're just gently rubbing our fingers down the cables and to make sure they're not frayed. You have a drum at each end which the cable goes onto, and you want to check where the cable enters the drum that it isn't broken off, which it isn't. The cable would generally come off if it's broken. You're looking at the springs. If a spring is broken, you will physically see a gap about that big in the spring. So these springs are fine. Then basically what we're going to do, we're going to take our oil, our silicone, and we're going to spray every hinge at the bottom as well. Just a little spray, just on the edges of the hinge and a fraction on the roller. This one's had a hinge replaced, and we're checking the hinges as we go. They generally split across there, and if we see one, then we'll recommend to change it. The rollers on this door have been changed. They're long stem rollers. At the back of the torsion tube, there's a bearing. We just give a little oil on that, and we're doing every hinge throughout the door. You don't generally need to spray the springs, but if they start to look a little dirty and stuff, it's just nice to get a little oil in there just to smooth them out. And at that point, once you've sprayed the oil, we're going to re-engage the door, lift it until it clips into the trolley. Now it's clipped, and then we're going to just run the door up and down, and we're going to work the oil in. When you look at the chain is drooping a little bit. See how it's lower than the bar here? So we're going to just adjust that chain. As it comes up, it's tight, because it's doing all the work. We're going to let the door stop, and that's it. Okay, when you're adjusting the chain, this chain is loose. You need some movement, but you kind of just want about an inch, if that. Basically, we're going to move the back nut back a little bit. I think you're just going to hold the chain just to keep it square, and just wind the chain in a little bit. And as you're doing each turn, you'll see the chain rise. So now, still want a little more, and that's about right. You don't want it too tight because you're going to strip out the gearing. Just check your chain square where it should be. Then we have to run the door, and we're going to check that the door closes sufficiently because we have moved. And now you see the chain isn't dropping below the rail. And the door closes fine. I'm going to check it opens. And we're checking against this safety bolt to check it doesn't hit that. We don't really want our door hitting that, we want it close, and that's good. So that door is now serviced and good.